We came so far from dreams. The path was hard for me. They thought we fall, you see. Well, look at us now, look at us now. We make it hot when we on the scene. Yeah, that's 1,000 degrees. I got a grind for me and my team. Yeah, you know we gon' eat. You see the crowds when we come around. You know that I roll with some kings. We sit it down, I don't hear a sound, but I ask you who better than we. Tell me who better than we. We soaring to places you never could reach. When we walk in that spot, don't hear none of you speak. Shh, do you want peace or the peace? A king about to put you to sleep. Listen, my team is elite. You not even qualified to compete. He starving, he barely can eat. I guess that's why he always itching for beef. So I put him on ice and I told him to chill. Close your mouth if you can't pay for the meal. Making statements that you know you don't mean. Nice guy trying to act like he mean. Keep it a buck, keep it a bean. Attitudes will put you dudes in the beam. Izuku, he don't live in reality. Shake back, all become a fatality. Yeah, how you gon' hate when you mirror us? He think he a star, he ain't serious. X him out, we not on the same frequency. If you broke, you ain't hearing this. Work the screw, anime, that's how I feel, period. We winning, that's making them furious. We make it high when we on the scene, yeah, that's 1,000 degrees. I got a grind for me and my team, yeah, you know we gon' eat. You see the crowds when we come around, you know that I roll with some kings. We sit it down, I don't hear a sound, but I ask you who better than we.
Yo, what it do, guys? It is your boy, Leon Mookie here, back with you with another new part of What If Izuku Had a Bakugan Quirk? This is part 3, and once again, thanks a lot for the love and support, guys. Really do appreciate it. Anyway, let's go with that of a recap. In the last part, Izuku began to understand and began to train that of his newly fully awakened quirk after all. The fact that he can basically bring Bakugan to life outside of just being able to understand and basically play the card game better than others. But also finding out that his quirk can also affect that of assist Bakugan gear, helping amplify that of his Bakugan. Not to mention, he doesn't even need that of his physical ability cards to basically affect that of his Bakugan. As long as he understands the abilities and has a strong bond with that of the Bakugan he already has, or understand how they work properly, he can basically create his own gate cards and ability cards for his Bakugan. However, during that his training, his life begins to change for the better or for the worst or annoyance, with everybody out there trying to be nice to him, Bakugo keeping his distance from him. Not to mention, he having that of his closest friend being Julie, and meeting a new battler who has taken an interest in Izuku by the name of Lena. And she wants to see the kind of hero that Izuku becomes in the future. So, with all that said, let's get into this, shall we, guys? With the 10 months now being over, Izuku now arriving at that of UA High, the massive 8-shaped school and one of the best schools in all of Japan. Thankfully enough, he lives right next to it, given that it's in Shizuoka after all, and didn't need to take a massive train ride or even a bullet train to get here. With him getting somewhat nervous, within Skyrus saying, Izuku, you don't need to worry yourself like this, saying, right, you're absolutely right. As looking at that of the, Ventus Bakugan, however, Skyrus is different, as he's no longer that of regular Ventus Skyrus, but now that of Storm Skyrus, deciding to switch her out with that of her more powerful form after all. And not just her, but also that of Drago being Delta Dragonoid and Tigrera being Blade Tigrera. But he didn't stop there, wanting to make sure that he comes prepared. He even brought that of an Aqua's Bakugan, that being Preus. With Preus, kind of a bit of a jokester, of course, which makes sense given how he is in the anime. So yeah. As for Darkus, of course, he had that of Dual Hydronoid to begin with. But for Sotera, he decided to bring in that of, Gorom. Unfortunately, he does not have a Hammer Gorom, so regular Gorom is all he can use for now. With then Izuku still thinking about his strategy and tactics and the moves he needs to do. Plus, he also needs to remember the fact about him having to constantly study for that of the entrance exam. Of course, even though training and understanding his quirk is necessary, if he can't pass that of the written exam, the practical exam is going to be meaningless. UA's entrance exam doesn't just focus on that of the practical exam, even though it's the most important. The written exam is just as important. If I pass one and I fail the other, I'm not going to make it. With that, Izuku basically tries to amp himself up with all of his Bakugan, trying to pump him up as well, that he got this. With that, Izuku thanking them as he takes one step before somebody say, "Get out of my way, Deku, before I blow your ass up." As Izuku freaked out a little bit, realizing that it's from Bakugo, with then saying, "Morning to you too, Kachan." As Bakugo couldn't help but click his tongue, realizing that Izuku a little bit nervous, but not really afraid of him anymore, as he can't help but clench his fist before just walking past him. Within, soon Prey is saying, "Geez, somebody woke up on the right side of the bed. Did he forget breakfast, by any chance?" With then, he's saying, "No, that's just how Gachan has always been. You've seen my memories, Preyas." Saying, "True, but honestly, it's just more fun basically speculating on why the guy's in such a horrible, bad mood." Before Preyas could run down, that's when Tiguera spoke up saying, "Lord Izuku, you should probably get going before time runs out," saying, "Oh, right, thanks, Tiguera." As Izuku basically was walking pretty quickly, basically fast walking, he almost soon tripped over that of a, misplaced tile, and almost thought, "Well, I'm about to die. I'm guessing all that hard work and training and studying is basically wasted." Before he could basically fall to the ground, he was soon caught by that of his backpack by somebody else, before it then saying, "Man, that was close." Within, the person that caught him being a girl, getting a better look at her, as she has that of, pink skin, messy hair like his, but all pink, with that of, yellow horns, and getting a better look at her, making him blush a little bit, she has that of, blackened eyes and golden irises. Within saying, "Come on, you almost ate it there. You gotta watch where you're going." Within, patting Izuku and basically trying to make sure they didn't have any dust on him, saying, "Well, later." Before then, she walked past him, causing Izuku to blush quite a bit, thinking to himself, "Wow, that just happened." And she kind of reminded me a little bit of Julie. Within, Skyra saying, interesting from somebody like her. She basically acted pretty quickly to grab you. She must have been really close." Saying, yeah, I guess so." With Drago saying, "Don't want to be late, Izuku. Get going." Saying, Right. Thanks, Drago." As Izuku rushes into UA, he was basically given directions to where they'll be taking that of the written portion of the exam, as the person overseeing that of their exam being the duplication hero, Ectoplasm, seeing him in that of his trench coat and quite, menacing but somewhat heroic figure in all, with that of his deep voice saying, "You'll have at least that of an hour to finish that of your written portion of the entrance exam. However, I will be making sure that none of you cheat throughout this entire exam. Anyone start cheating, you'll be removed from the premises and you'll fail automatically. So I expect you all to do the right thing. Understood?" Within, a few people can help but be a little bit afraid, while some not really fazed by this, but still aware of the threats and the messaging behind. With Ectoplasm saying, "Good, now begin." With that, 1 hour has now gone by, with surprisingly a few, people within that of Izuku's test area basically were kicked out because they were cheating, of course. Thankfully enough, Izuku had that of 20 minutes remaining before that of time ran out. And he believes he has plenty of questions gotten right. There were some that were a little bit tougher for him though, but even so, he believed he passed the written exam pretty well. Next up being the practical exam, where they are soon led to that of a large auditorial hall, where already seen that of plenty of tons of other people in that of the auditorial hall already, possibly around that of maybe 50 to possibly 100 people, which again makes sense. This is one of the most prestigious hero schools in all of Japan, where many of the current top 10 heroes all graduate from, after all, even All Might himself too. So of course, everybody would want a chance to get in this school where legends learn from, after all. With Izuku finding his placement on where he's going to be sitting. However, unfortunately, that seat placement is right next to Bakugo, which Izuku, realizing this, as he can't help but basically shaken out of nervousness, with Bakugo also annoyed the fact that he's sitting right next to Izuku, with Skyrus saying, "Calm yourself, Izuku. If he wanted to cause any trouble to you, he would have, and if he does, he most likely will be kicked out of the entrance exam." With Drago going, "Skyrus is right, Izuku. Calm yourself. You're in that of a safe place where Bakugo can't attack you." But then Izuku, taking a deep breath, stopped shaking, calming himself, saying, "Right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it." With that, many of his Bakugan remained to stay quiet, but appreciate his thanks. As lights began going dim, that's when a certain person comes out of from the podium stand, basically rising up on the stage, as the man looks quite stylish with that of his, leather jacket, black pants, black boots, spiked up slick back hair, his orange aviator sunglasses, and a weird speaker around his neck, as this being the voice hero, Present Mike. Good afternoon, little listeners. I hope you're all doing all well. I hope you're all excited for the practical exam. Come on, let me hear it. With everybody basically remaining quiet, as you can almost hear crickets. However, Izuku, on the other hand, couldn't help but basically get excited seeing that of Present Mike, given that he listens to his podcast when he's, either studying or on the way here, after all. With Izuku's look of pure and utter joy and giddiness just annoys Bakugo even more. With Praise saying, "There goes all that hard work down the drain. Don't worry, guys, we'll get him next time." With Hydronoid saying, "Not now, Praise." Within, President Mike begins to lay down that of what they'll be doing for the practical exam, that they'll be mainly facing against that of villains. However, a few students couldn't help but feel a little bit, worried at that. But then President Mike saying, hold on, no need to feel a little bit anxious there, little listeners. You won't be facing against that of real villains. If you remember bringing in that of a test packet, you'll be facing against that of robots." Within, a few people basically looking through that of their test packet, while also President Mike brings out a remote and presses a button. Within, a screen shows up behind him saying, "As you see above me, and on that of your test packet, you'll be facing against sets of 3 robots, ranging from 1-pointers, 2-pointers, and 3-pointers. Depending on how many robots you take out, depends on your placement in that of the hero course. Not to mention, on that of your test card, you'll also be located in that of certain designated zones, in that of one of our prestige test zones, actually. Also, a bit of a heads up, attacking that of your fellow applicants is a big no-no here in UA. You're training to be heroes, not villains." With hearing that, causing at least a few people to basically flinch at that, as some of them probably were thinking to basically trip up or basically cause that of, interference against that of with that of fellow appliquees by, attacking them accidentally. But of course, now that plan's out of the way, within, Bakugo can help but comment about the fact that they'll be in different zones to make sure that those who go to the same school wouldn't work together, which caused him to be annoyed at the fact that he couldn't crush him. With Izuku saying, of course you would be disappointed about that, of all people. With Tigrera going, don't let him psych you out, master. Saying, I'm aware, Tigrera. Don't need to remind me. Within, soon, a tall boy with that of short blue hair and square-shaped glasses and with quite the broad build, basically saying, excuse me, sir, as he interrupts that of President Mike, basically to rant and go down on why they didn't bring up that of the fourth robot that's on that of the screen, given that it's not even on the packet either. Even saying that as applicants for such a prestigious school, UA should be a lot more vigilant to such information, after all, for that of its applicants. Before then, pointing at that of Izuku, with saying, and you have been muttering this entire time. If you are not going to take this seriously, I suggest that you leave. With then, leaving Izuku kind of completely and utterly off guard by that. However, as soon as Izuku wanted to say something and tried to apologize, that's when Prey is saying, hey there, Four Eyes, why don't you keep your mouth shut? Nobody asked what your big mouth wanted to say. Maybe if you kept that trap shut, President Mike would have said something, you. But then, soon Izuku grabbed Prey saying, Prey, shut up, stop. As Prey is trying to get out of Izuku's hands. Before then, the blue-haired boy couldn't help but be shocked by that, saying, such. Before then, President Mike getting everybody's attention, saying, now, no need for such that of hostility with each other, to applicant. As for your first word, young listener, I was just about to get to that of the fourth robot. You see, this robot is known as a zero-pointer. Just as the name stated, you won't gain any points from it. Within, catching everybody off guard, even that of Izuku, who's still trying to hold tightly to Preyas. Within, President Mike goes over saying, see, this is more of an obstacle, like that one villain that's basically impossible to stop, where you gotta wait for backup and go on that of a retreat for the time being. Within, Izuku thinking about all the way back with the sludge villain, that none of the heroes basically stepped in to basically, save that of Bakugo, where he had to step in and use that of his full-on quirks, true capabilities and potential at that very moment. Within, Izuku letting go of Preyas before thinking, I don't think it's just a mere obstacle or just a robot that isn't going to get us points. I believe it's also a puzzle too. Tigrera going, my lord, you don't think there may be a chance we might have to face it. Hopefully that chance won't happen, but knowing UA, they expect somebody to either take it on or at least try and, divert its attention to allow everybody else to escape. With Skyrus going, you playing Bakugan has helped you out and oversee that of certain things that heroes need to work on. If you were still just the same old you would have been afraid of the zero-pointer, or if you saw somebody in danger of it, you would have ran into it. Within, Izuku mentally going, I have to thank you guys for that, for curving that of my impulses a lot. Before Goron saying, but you still can't talk to girls that are attracted, that you see as attracted. Within, Izuku couldn't help but basically blush, given that Goron was right on the money. With the tall-haired boy apologizing and thanking him for the added information that he wasn't aware of at the time. With that, President Mike saying, and that's all you need to know for the practical exam. Now, let me lay down some words of wisdom for you little listeners before you head out. As the words of the great Napoleon Bonaparte once said, a true hero is one who basically faces against and crushes all adversities. So that's why, here at UA, we always go beyond plus ultra. As he says those words, letting everybody inside to basically get hyped, with many of them showing it with that of massive grins, smiles, and feeling excited, with even Izuku as well getting pumped up too. Several minutes later, getting on that of his, tracksuit uniform for that of the practical exam, while also taking that of a small bus ride, seeing nobody that he's really that familiar with, outside of a few people that he has basically fought against or brawled against in that of in the Bakugan card game, who aren't really, friends with Izuku, or really that acquaintances. Just people he fought against, and that's it. With nobody sitting with him, sitting right next to that of a window seat. Before then, somebody decided to sit with him as he looks to the side and notices a girl with that of short, bob-cut black hair, with that of a quite neutral but downright, well, pretty face, actually. And she just looks straight ahead. With then Izuku, a little bit nervous, sitting right next to a pretty girl like this. With then she begins to notice that of Izuku. With then Izuku, sorry if I'm. With then she not even wanting to pay attention towards Izuku, as she just continues looking forward. With Izuku feeling a little bit dejected. With then Prey saying, "Quite smooth, criminal." With then Izuku saying, "Shut up, Preyas." With a quiet and, well, uneventful bus ride, with the girl walking, with then saying, "You're nervous, don't be." With then Izuku caught off guard with her saying, "You're the Bakugan boy, you got this." With then she walks away. With then Izuku blinks saying, "Bakugan boy?" With Skyra saying, "I believe she saw you on the news about that of 10 months ago. Surprisingly, some people still recognize you. Isn't that quite impressive, don't you think?" With then Izuku saying, yeah, I guess so." With Drago going, "I'll do the same, she's right. Get yourself psyched up, Izuku. You're going to need it if you're going to pass this exam." With Izuku saying, "Right." As they head outside, they soon see that of a giant pair of doors. And over that of the doors, they can see that of a few buildings, which cause Izuku to be utterly shocked, surprised, and completely, utterly dumbfounded at the scope of this entire exam area. As they literally just made a mock city, or literally an entire city district, for a practice zone, which is insane, given his facial features as well. But then he looks around, seeing some people looking hyped, some people quite nervous, some people not so much. While then seeing that of the black-haired girl from before, who doesn't look too phased or anything. However, she looks like she has her hands in her pocket for something. But even so, Izuku didn't notice that. Before then, Skyra saying, if you wish to thank her, you best do it now before the exam begins. With then saying, right, thanks, Skyrus. With Izuku basically walking forward, about to basically talk to her. However, that's when the tall blue-haired boy from before basically grabbed that of Izuku by his right shoulder. With then him caught off guard and shocked. Before then, the boy saying, "You there. You were about to talk to her. Were you about to distract her?" Within, Izuku stuttering, saying, "What? No, I wasn't. I just..." Within, saying, "She doesn't have time for you to distract her like that. Are you trying to sabotage her?" Sabotage her anyway. Before, Izuku saying, "What made you get that eye?" Before then, a lot of other people nearby saying, "Look at him. No way in hell he's going to pass." Saying, "Definitely. It looks like that's one obstacle out of the way." Within another saying, "Hey, isn't that Izuku Midoriya? Yeah, the genius. What the heck is he doing here? Isn't he quirkless? Nah, didn't you see the news 10 months ago?" Saying, "What? Oh, right, I kind of completely forgot about it. Turns out his quirk is tied to Bakugan, if I recall. Man, I think this entire exam is good for him." Saying, "Oh, whatever. He only just started using it 10 months ago. Doubt he has any full control over it like the rest of us." With Izuku hearing all this, before then, that's when Hydronoid finally spoke up saying, "Enough of this crap." As Dual Hydronoid flied over saying, "If you do not get out of that of Izuku's way, I'll make you wish you regret it. You got it, four-eyed bastard." Caught off guard by the deep and somewhat menacing voice coming from that of the small, spherical object, as the tall-haired boy basically stepped back in shock. Before then, Izuku saying, "That's enough, Hydronoid. It's not worth it." Saying, "You say that, but when you show weakness, losers like this take any inch they can get to have their inferiority and weakness lord over you." Within, Izuku, a little bit annoyed, but also aware on what Hydronoid's going for. and she's just trying to look out for Izuku by building his confidence up. But with that, a little bit of fear, though. Within, that's when the tall-haired boy saying, that was a Bakugan. Not to mention, it was talking. Within, looking at Izuku, realizing what his quirk might be tied to, but wondering on how the heck is a talking Bakugan going to help. Before then, that's when the doors begin to basically open up. With that, everybody seems like they're getting ready, but nobody is moving. Before then, President Mike's saying, what are you all just standing there for? You gotta go, go, go. But then, hearing this, everybody rushes out of the, starting line and heading straight into that of the practical zone. With Izuku being left alone, before then putting back Hajinoid up. Before soon bringing out that of Storm Skyrus saying, Skyrus, you ready? With her saying, I'm always ready, Izuku. With that, she goes into ball form. Before then, Izuku throws that of Skyrus as hard as he can, saying, Bakugan Brawl! Bakugan Stance! Standing ready for battle is that of Skyrus, but different, as this being Storm Skyrus. The secondary form evolution of Skyrus. Where Skyrus already looked like that of a large phoenix, she truly does embody that of a phoenix. Still with that of the green feathers and all. With that, she poses square in the sky, where it almost seems like a rainbow appears over her. Before it then lands on the ground, allowing that of Izuku to get on her back. With then saying, still not entirely used to this, but let's do it. Ready, Skyrus? Ready when you are, Izuku. As they soon fly up and head into that of the zone, where there they get that of an overhead view of the entirety of his practical zone, where already seeing that of already a few villain bots already taken out, with Izuku needing to basically catch up, already seeing that of a few other robots ahead, and wanting to keep an eye on not hitting any participants after all. With then, Izuku saying, Skyrus, you think you can, your accuracy is good enough? Saying, who are you asking, Izuku? You know I have this. With then saying, right. Before then, he brings out his left hand, and materializing in his left hand being an ability card saying, ability card activate! Whirlwind Lightning Sword! As hearing this, Skyrus lets out that of a cry, which actually distracted at least several of the, applicants looking up, seeing the massive green phoenix. But then scale-like feathers begin to fall from that of Skyrus's wings and begin to hit that of many of the robots, ranging from that of 1-pointers, 2-pointers, and even a few 3-pointers as well. With Izuku trying to keep intact and how many robots he destroyed already, as he thinks he destroyed at least that of, 5 1-pointers, 4 2-pointers, and at least 2 3-pointers. With Izuku quite impressed with the power that Skyrus is showing off actually, and the control too to make sure not to hit any of the other applicants. Within, Skyrus saying, impressed, Izuku? Saying, yeah, I'm guessing all that training really did pay off. With that, saying, you haven't seen nothing yet. Let's go even further. Within, saying, yeah! As Skyrus lets off that of a loud screech before going deeper and deeper into that of the practical exam zone, taking out as many robots as they can, with Izuku bringing out ability card after ability card, leaving many of the participants who see this completely and utterly shocked, while some see this as unfair as hell, while some are complaining the fact that they're not being able to destroy as many robots now. As for that of the black-haired girl, who sat next to Izuku, she's saying, cool. As a 2-pointer was about to come, that was basically about to attack her, she throws something from that of her pockets before it expanded to look like that of a giant lug nut, destroying the 2-pointer without even being phased by the explosion, while still just looking up at that of Izuku and Skyrus. While Izuku is racking up points, currently in that of a, monitoring room where you could see the entire faculty of UA, as of course the entire faculty of UA mainly composed of pro heroes, with many of the faculty quite impressed with that of this year's, applicants after all, believing that many of them have quite a bit of potential and figure out other ways to basically gather up points instead of just destroying them. Seeing that of one student with that of multiple arms, gathering information while also defending a few other, applicants as well, while another being a girl with that of darkish purplish hair with weird earlobes, also gathering information at the same time, basically short-circuiting that of the robots. Not to mention seeing the same pink, skinned girl that helped out Izuku in the entranceway, basically, melt some robots by defending that of a few applicants that were struggling. However, there's also the one who basically is constantly and utterly destroying robots without even breaking a sweat, that being Bakugan with his explosions. But even so, showing the qualifications of gathering information, helping out others, supporting, and basically completely clearing out robots entirely, showing that many of these students have great potential being heroes. However, one of them soon noticed that of Izuku and Skyrus, as they can't help but wonder how the heck did they miss that of a giant quirked animal. Within, one of them say, actually, I think that's a Bakugan. Within, as looking at the person who said this, as a person that spoke up being a, space-themed hero in a big puffy suit and all, where you can only see that of their eyes through that of their, helmet. With also hearing that their voice sounds quite feminine, saying, it's something I'd collect a bit of Bakugan after all. And I'm pretty sure that's Storm Skyrus, the second form of that of the original Ventus Skyrus. President Mike spoke up saying, oh yeah, Bakugan. I remember a lot of kids, especially 10 years ago, many students basically started liking that stuff. Hey Aizawa, didn't one of your students was a huge fan of it? Within, seeing a man wearing completely all black, having that of shaggy black hair, long hair with a 5 o'clock shadow, with that of an annoyed and somewhat exhausted look on his face, before then saying, yeah, I'm aware. A complete and total waste of time, if you ask me. When another feminine voice saying, well, I don't think this applicant thinks it's a waste of time. With seeing Skyrus basically destroying more and more of robots without even breaking a sweat. Sending more barrage of that of Hurricane Lightning Sword, while also using that of her many, many tails to grab a few robots away from that of applicants that seem to be struggling with them too, and dropping them in the air, making it easier for those applicants to destroy them because they weren't fully destroyed properly. But Aizawa just narrowing his eyes, seeing that of the one on top of Skyrus being Izuku. However, at the same time, one of the other spectators, seeming to be part of that of the staff, couldn't help but also be shocked and surprised, seeing the person, but then saying, it's the same young man from 10 months ago. So he really did apply for UA, just when I was hoping for. With that, the man couldn't help but have that of a smile, saying, and not only that, it only seems like he truly improved too. I'm impressed with such amazing quirk. If I didn't think otherwise, I would think that he would be involved, but thankfully, I know that he isn't. And finally get to know the name of the young man I saw all those months ago. The man can help have that of a look of smile and determination, as his blue eyes begin to gleam in that of the shadowy modern room. But then, a soft-spoken squeaky voice saying, every single one of them have unique and quite interesting quirks, and how they apply to them during this exam is true measure on what it means to be a hero. However, the true measure and the true capabilities on what makes a hero is during this exam as well. Within, looking at that of the, blonde-haired man, as he basically braces up that of a glass box before pressing a red button. Within, Izuku and Skyrus destroy another robot Before soon, a few of his Bakugan students spoke up, mainly Preyas, asking Izuku why the hell he's not letting us basically destroy any robots right now. With Izuku was about to explain, saying that all this, he thought that he might have need them for that of other exams or other ways, but it seems like all he just needs to do is just destroy robots. No need to go overkill, especially having that of giant creatures basically stomping all over the place. Who knows how many innocent people they could basically get involved in this. With Tigrera actually quite impressed with Izuku's thinking, of course. And not to mention, not to waste too much of his stamina and energy. The more Bakugan he brings out, the more energy he basically drains himself with. He found out that his greatest limit is he can bring out that of 3 Bakugan all at once. Add that with, equipment Bakugan like Trap Bakugan, Battle Gear, Baku Nano, and Battle Suits don't drain too much on him actually. But he has to control himself and when how many Bakugan he can bring out. So of course, just bringing out all of his Bakugan that he brought with him all willy-nilly is kind of just overkill and unnecessary. Before then, Skyrus's eyes begin to widen a bit, saying, Izuku, I hear something coming this way. Within, saying, what is it? Before then, they begin hearing that of shaking, and the ground begins to, go wild. Before then, Skyrus stops, with then Izuku noticing this, as he noticed what's below them, as it being the 0-point robot. As seeing it, it's actually quite massive, that it even basically dwarfs that of the buildings in the practice zone, showing on how huge it is. With Izuku quite shocked by that, saying, whoa, that's huge. With then, Preyas is about to say something. Before then, Drago basically knocks him aside, saying, what now, Izuku? You and Skyrus can destroy it if you want, but it'd just be a waste. Within, Izuku saying, yeah, you're right, Drago. It would just be a waste. However, given how big it is, and it's kind of moving quite slowly, but not at a really snail pace, though. Given how massive it is, I think it could run over people. Within, Skyrus saying, so what do you wish to do, Izuku? Go back? I believe we have at least enough points for you to basically make it into UA. With Izuku going, you're right. So within, as they were about to leave, they soon notice somebody screaming for help. However, as they look down, they see that of a girl with that of short brunette hair, rosy cheeks, basically carrying that of the same girl that Izuku sat with on the bus. As she's trying to carry her, but it seems like she's struggling quite a bit. With Izuku shocked by this, realizing that they need help. Before then, soon Skyrus saying, what will you do, Izuku? You heard them. So saying, as he grabs that of Gorom, within, Gorom realizes this saying, Izuku, are you? Within saying, I'm going to need you, Gorom. Before then, throwing Gorom saying, Bakugan, bro! As Gorom lands on the ground saying, Bakugan stance! As rising from that of the bright orange light is that of Subterra Gorom, the massive Titan-like Bakugan. Seeing him in his massive size that even dwarfs that of the 0-pointer, that of his circular round shield, and his somewhat golem-like appearance. Within saying, I am ready for combat. As the two girls who saw this couldn't help but be shocked too. Within, Izuku saying, Gorom, stop it! As Gorom basically has his hands out, keeping that of the 0-pointer basically in check. As instead of basically destroying it, instead Izuku wants Gorom to just hold it in place for a bit. As he goes down to the ground, and then tells both girls to get on that of Skyrus's back, leaving them somewhat shocked with Izuku being serious and just tell him to get on. With that, the two girls snap out of it. before getting on Skyrus's back and then flying back to the entranceway. As for then, he's saying, Gorum, take it out. With Gorum saying, understood. As he soon just lands that of one powerful punch without even needing to use an ability card to basically destroy it. As the punch enough was even able to send that of the Zero Pointer's head basically flying onto the other side. Actually, into that of another, test zone actually, which even hit that of another Zero Pointer, causing everybody to be shocked and wonder where the hell did that come from, with Gorum saying, oops, my bad. Well, those in the monitor room couldn't help but be shocked, surprised, and couldn't help but be caught off guard, with the Astronaut Light hero, otherwise known as 13, couldn't help but say, he brought out that of a Subterra Gorum, and it's even bigger than the Zero Pointer. With then, a guy with that of an excavator, claw on his head, saying, oh man, and he even destroyed one of the other Zero Pointers from the other test zones, instead of just the one in that one. Great. That's going to be a lot of work for me in the third years to handle, especially since we had to reuse them for the sports festival. Within, one of the faculty members, looking like a cowboy with a gas mask on, could up and say, I reckon that's one hell of a quirk. Turning card game toys into that of actual living things to fight for them. And they're massive, to be honest. With a man wearing that of a skin-tight red suit, spiky white hair, and an overbite. Given that you can see that of two fangs pop jetting out from the bottom, as he can't help but say, that quirk is both useful and a bit problematic in a way. We've dealt with quirks that basically deal with that of people's size, and especially given certain students whose size are quite big themselves. But to think we would have to deal with a quirk that basically makes giant monsters become reality. Before then, the man with the scrawny appearance saying, I think you're all missing the point. He used them to save those two applicants who was in the way of the Zero Pointer. Within, soon, that's when one seductive and quite, flirty voice can up and say, I agree. He didn't hesitate to basically throw himself into the fray or even use one of those Bakugan to stop that of the Zero Pointer without even hesitation. Even basically using the one he was already flying on to get the girls back to the exit way. Speaking of, as they look back at the monitor, where Storm Skyrus basically lands in front of all of the applicants, getting that of both the, black-haired girl and the brown-haired girl off of Storm Skyrus, and begins to check on them, saying, and he's such a gentleman, so much chivalry, it's so stimulating. As many of the faculty can help but feel a little bit, uncomfortable with that of the woman's words. But then, that's when the soft-spoken voice saying, I agree. Not with the stimulating part, but with you, Yagi. He chose to save instead of basically just gathering even more points or running away, which basically proves he's truly worthy to be a hero and to be in net of UA High, with showing that of Izuku on the monitor, blushing quite a bit, but still smiling all the same, knowing that the two girls are safe. 2 weeks now gone by, with, as the entrance exam come to an end, Izuku going back to classes, of course, as he's currently eating dinner at home. With then, he can't help but just wonder, when is he going to get his entrance letter, or basically be informed that he failed, as the weight is constantly killing him, to be honest. Within, his mother, Inko Midoriya, asking Izuku, sweetie, are you okay? Within, Izuku saying, just a little worried, that's all. Got nothing to worry about, Mom, just thinking about my entrance letter, that's all. With Inko saying, I see, but just hold in there, surely it will show up any time. With Izuku saying, yeah, I hope so. With that, he finishes eating dinner before then heading to his room, as a few of his Bakugan all basically swarm around him. Well, the ones that can fly swarm around him, while the ones that can only basically, bounce on that of the ground or basically crawl around, with Izuku sitting in front of all his Bakugan and some of them floating around him saying, "Still nothing yet, guys." Within, soon Skyra saying, "You're overthinking things, Izuku. Just try and focus on what you can do." Within saying, "Yeah, easy for you to say, Skyrus. Given that you all know my anxiety and basically feeling so anxious, wondering if maybe facing against that of the 0-pointer wasn't the right idea." Within, Gorum saying, "Sorry, Izuku." With Izuku saying, "Hey, no, I'm not blaming you, Gorum. Far from it. Just a little bit worried, that's all." Because he can't help but just think, as he looks at his All Might poster in his room, thinking to himself, did I really do the right thing, All Might? Then thinking about those 2 girls that he saved all the way back during the entrance exam. Before then, basically being knocked over by that of the door suddenly slamming open, as rolling over and before landing on his back, looking at the person saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Izuku." But then saying, "Mom, what was that for?" Within saying, "You have a letter from UA." Before then, eyes widening, pupils basically shrinking, saying, "Huh?" With Izuku opening up that of the letter. However, instead of it being a piece of paper, it's actually a hologram disc. Within, Izuku activating it, showing that of a certain hero that he did not expect to see, saying, "I am here to give you the results of your test." With Izuku, eyes turning to stars, saying, "All Might!" Yes, you may be wondering, I, All Might, am the one giving you that of the test instead of a UA faculty member. Well, let's just say that, I'll be here in UA for the time being, just to let you know. But, more importantly, to give you that of your results. Izuku Midoriya, is it? Well, I will let you know that you did gain that of an 85 during that of the writing exam. Well done, young man. You passed through that of the writing exam, which would basically elevate you for that of the general course. As for the practical exam, you also done quite amazingly. Not only you were able to take down that of multiple robots, but you were even able to basically show the true capabilities of your quirk. So much power and devastation from that of one simple giant kaiju creature. The faculty and I believe that a quirked animal snuck onto that of the premises without us realizing it. But now we know. Your quirk ties to that of the popular card game that has reemerged here in Japan, being Bakugan. So adding up and looking through all of the footage of each and every one of the robots that your Bakugan took care of, adding them up to be that of 72 villain points. With that, Izuku couldn't help but be completely and utterly shocked and also surprised about the fact that he gained so much points, saying, "However, young man, there's more to being a hero than just taking down villains. And I figured you would be the one to do so, given what you did 10 months ago." With Izuku realizing, wait, All Might knew about? Saying, "This, let me show you this." Before then, showing that of a video link towards that of two girls, being the girl with that of the brunette hair and the girl with that of the always calm and short black hair, as both girls, mainly the girl with that of the rosy cheeks, basically wanting to give some of her points to that of Izuku for saving her, with the black haired girl nodding as well, agreeing that she wishes to give some of her points too for saving their lives after all. And it only seems right after missing out the chance to basically gain more points. Within, soon, All Might closes that of the video link before then saying, "There's more to being a hero than taking down villains, like I said. There's also protecting and saving your fellow participants." But we did basically kept the secret about that of hidden points that only that of the faculty of UA can give to that of an applicant. otherwise known as rescue points, or hero points as I love to dub them, as he explains that each faculty member that see that of the entrance exam are given that of 10 points each, that they can give to as many people as they wish for depending on how many people that they save, protect, and help during the entrance exam. And given all of the robots you took out, add that with that of your villain points, saving those girls, and even taking out that of a 0-pointer from another test zone within Izuku saying, wait, Goron's punch destroyed another 0-pointer from another zone? Within Goron saying, I guess I just don't know my own strength. Or another voice saying, maybe it was just weaker than you, big guy. Adding them up from each of the faculty that individually gave you points. You have that of 80 hero points. Add that with your 72. You are given a whopping 152 points. Basically, even beating that of my old record. Within Izuku hearing that, as he can't help but be utterly shocked that he broke his idol's record, saying, and thus, I'd like to welcome you, Izuku Midoriya, to your Hero Academia. As the hologram soon ends, with Izuku begin tearing up, as he can't help but basically slump on his desk into that of his chair, as still crying, saying, I did it. All that hard work, all that training, everything I went through, it's finally coming true. With that, all of his Bakugan couldn't help but comfort that of Izuku, as they all say, good job, Izuku. As Izuku's dream of being a hero is just only getting started. And that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Let's read them. So, what did you guys think? Think I did a decent job with that of the entrance exam? Sorry I didn't bring out the other Bakugan. I didn't want to do a little bit of overkill after all. But it mainly just shows on how much Izuku always tries to come prepared. However, him basically always being prepared may come back to bite him in the ass in the future. Who could say? Also, if you guys remember, I'm putting up a poll on who I should ship Izuku with on the story, but mainly that of 2 girls instead. So I'm just asking you guys' opinion to be fair. So yeah, any rate, if you guys like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell notification to keep the date when I upload on the channel. Also, please check out my Discord, gaming channel, main channel, side channel, Patreon, and Cash App. All linked in the description below. So, with all that said, this is Leon Mookie, signing out. Later guys, and hope you all take care. Thank you so much for watching and staying to the end of the video.
But there's still so much on my love channel.
That's right, such as my other What If content and the most recent What Ifs as well.
Not to mention his playlist, where you can watch all of his other What Ifs.
Which, all said and done, this is Leon.
And Shiro.
And you're watching Leon Mookie.